Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy pot holder today. I have gone ahead and cut out all my pieces, and they are all 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. It's going to make a good size pot holder. So I've got a front and a back here, and then I've got a layer of Insul-Bright, and it comes in a package like this. I just ordered it off Amazon, and this reflects hot and cold energy back to its source. So that's the one I'm using. And then you also need a layer of batting, and I use cotton warm and natural. So what I'm going to do is, I have me an assembly line going here because I'm going to make more than one while I'm at this. So I'm going to take the front and the back. So I've got this piece, the right side down. Then I'm going to put a layer of batting. Then I'm going to put a layer of the Insul-Bright. And then I'm going to put a layer, the top piece on. So there you've got your 4 layers. You've got the right side facing out on all of them. And I chose this fabric because I wanted to cheat a little bit because it has lines on it. And so you need to go over to your machine and quilt it next. And you could run horizontal lines a couple of inches apart. You could go both ways to make a diamond shape to quilt it. But since I have these lines on here, I'm just going to go about probably every third one, and then just make diagonal lines. And I'm going to use white thread. It'll show up on these, but it'll just go in between all of those, and I'll be able to keep it straight. So you want to pin it or use your clips and get it all straightened together before you start sewing. Okay, let's go to the sewing machine. Okay, I have clipped all 4 corners and got everything straight and even. And then I went ahead and put a couple of pins down here and one right up here, just to keep it all straight in there. And I'm just going to start and sew down each. I'm going to set my stitch length on 3 since it's so thick. And if you have a walking foot, you can put that on and it'll help it all go through. The top and the bottom go through at the same time. I made some bias binding that I'm going to put all around the edges, and I'm going to put a little loop right up here in the corner. So watch the other video on how to make bias binding. But first, I kind of want to round my corners. So I found me a cup, and I'm not going to round this one because that's where my loop is going to be. But I do want to round these, so I'm doing it from the front side so I'll know where I want that loop. And I'm just going to put this in the edge, and I'm going to mark it with a pencil. I think I need a marker or something. This pencil isn't working very well. Get my friction pin and see if it works better. pink will show up good on there. I could have eyeballed that just a little better. Now I'm just going to trim off those corners. And I'm actually going to hold it and see if I can do a better job of cutting. Oh yeah, that worked better. Kind of see where my mark was. That one looks womper jawed. And after I quilted it, I did go back and trim off just a hair off both ends because the material kind of shifted. Okay, let's get over to the sewing machine and we will start our binding. Okay, I'm going to start on the back and my corner that I left. I have my bias binding and I cut off a straight edge on it. I'm going to sew it. I have folded it in half and pressed it. And I'm ready to sew it on. So I'm going to sew a 3/8 inch seam and then I'll turn it around to the front and sew it down. So I'm going to start here in the corner. I did have to put the right color thread on to match your binding. And I've got it on a 3.0 stitch length. Kind of hold all your raw edges even. The reason we use bias tape is because you've got to go around these corners. When you're going around the corner, you just want to lift your presser foot up every once in a while. And then just take another couple stitches till you can curve it around in that corner. When you get back down here to your point, you're going to lift that out of the way. Go ahead and curve it over to the back and make sure it goes over that seam. So there's the back. I went ahead and curved it over. And now I'm going to cut off. I'm going to leave about 5 inches, I think. See if we think that'll be enough for a loop. Yeah. So go about 5 inches. Then just clip it off. Now we're just going to curve it around to the front. We'll pin it or clip it, or you can eyeball it. Kind of make sure that seam's pulled all the way out. Okay, so I'm pulling this corner over, and it looks like I'm going to need to go and trim all those corners down. So take your corners with that edge out, and let's trim it to about 1/8 of an inch. Now make sure you keep that bias tape out of the way in the back, not to cut into it. Just got 3 corners to do. It helps if you have a contrasting thread so you can see exactly where to cut. Let's try that again. Now you're just going to make sure and go over that little seam that you made that you can see from the back side. Push it up in there. Just make sure it's pulled back from the front. Make sure that seam's kind of pulled out of there. I ended up with a seam right on that corner. It's going to give me fits, but we can do this, y'all. We're just going to fold under. We've got our edges left here. So we're just going to fold under about 1/4 of an inch and then come over. And we're just going to keep sewing off of there, like so. And then here at the end, we're going to turn down about 1/4 of an inch so that that edge is finished right there. So I'm going to fold up my 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to fold in 1/4 of an inch on the end, and I'll finish it out, pulling that over. Okay, so that's my tail. I'm going to start out here on the tail. We're going to begin with the end. Try to back stitch a little, and I might have to pull my needle up and actually move it down a little to get it going. Just push it in there a little bit. There it goes. thought I was sewing on the wrong edge. I'm still on a 3.0 stitch length. Now just kind of push it up in there, make sure the back's pulled out. And we're just going to sew as close to that edge as we can. Might could have trimmed mine just a little bit more, but I'm saying it's gonna work. Okay, we've got our loop out here. And we're just going to swing it over. And pull it towards the back. Like so. And we're going to set us up a zigzag stitch. Let's do a 1.5 and 0.7. There's so much material under there, it's not moving very well. Here we go. And I'm going to back stitch. Trim the threads. Ooh, I got kind of crooked right there, y'all. Okay. There you go. What do you think? Pretty cool. You can kind of see on the back, which people will use both sides, but it just kind of went right over that seam right there. Ta-da! Yay!